Okay, we're again making our final approach here. We'll try to get through this as quick as possible, but yet be reasonable. Okay, we handed out just the rest of a guided handout or note guide that has all the information for you. I would be led to believe that on Monday we will take a moment to review and have a problem quiz, okay, over hydrogenation, esterification, and then rancidity was one, and what am I? And hydrolysis. I knew there was one more. Yes. Okay. So everyone in here, if we're doing, usually things will take, whether that's at this level, and especially the next. And in having that opportunity to have that blank sheet of paper, when I say blank sheet, I could say maybe there's a reason for that. That's on the back of here, okay? Because in the drop folder, okay, you had those list of vitamins, and then we gave you the paper that originated from. Are we following along with that? Do we understand what we mean? It looked like this. This was the top portion. Okay. So what happens, what you're going to see here, okay, will not be until a week from today. But this document in the drop folder, okay, looks like now, when you initially see this, okay, brace yourself, okay? It's not meant to intimidate. It's going to be intimidating when you see it, but we're going to be talking about this here in just a moment, okay? This is what we had up on the board yesterday. This is not vocabulary. This would be, for instance, multiple choice questions for a week from today. And this is what you could write on the back side of here, because it has vitamins here. Then on this back side, for the most part, we're going to talk about these today, and we'll get this chapter wrapped up. So this is in the drop folder. You do have access to it. Make sense? Okay? Okay, I keep looking at my microphone, making sure that I still have power. Yes.
Can I just take a picture of this? Oh, this is in the drop folder.
It is in the drop folder, yes. Okay, so back to this. We're gonna fly through the rest of this because again, you have this content. Let's see here. We left off with, that's what's on the top of your paper.
We're in, yeah, that.
Okay, this is where we left off?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, I would think there's some underlying factor for yourself that probably was not due to cholesterol to create that, because we briefly discussed that yesterday. So, but regardless, we're glad we got to be feeling a lot better. I mean, what as far as a individual might be thinking, what is going on? But now you've got that situation taken care of. So again, just keep in mind on Tuesday, just a short evaluation on content that you have been graded upon, and we're doing very well on that so far. So you have a week to prepare for this. And I know we're all busy. That's why we want you to have this content and opportunity to prepare yourself. Okay.
I'll be gone Monday, Tuesday.
Okay. Well, that's why we're glad we're getting this wrapped up then. Okay. So one of the things that I would be led to believe that would make a possibly a good multiple choice question would be when cholesterol levels are high in the blood, okay, what might a doctor or your personal physician not prescribe, but say, okay, if this is high, we may have to remove this, not gland, but this tiny organ, okay? Because when that cholesterol level is high, it can form them gallstones. But typically, I'd like to think that you can break them up with ultrasound. I know we talked about that yesterday. Unfortunately, it just didn't work. And that's really, like I said, we're glad we're back, and we got to be feeling better. I think I said that earlier. Okay, well, very good. Okay, now I think that puts us, you have this content, so this is probably the biggest aspect I want you to learn or understand of these three, okay? And when we talk about hormones, okay, does anyone possibly remember that term from last year or this year? This one right here, a prostaglandin. An example would be that of cholestockinin, gastin, oxytocin would be another one. Those are three major ones. Sorry? Okay, so oxytocin is the hormone that deals with pregnancy. That's correct. The reason that we look at these as prostaglandins, okay, the same organ or gland that produces it has its effect on that gland. So it's produced locally, okay? Because when we look at thyroid stimulating hormone, that has to travel through the body. That's not a prostaglandin. Okay? Then thyroxine, that is a hormone that deals with glucose metabolism. That has to circulate through the body. So that is not a prostaglandin. When the brain sends a signal down to the female's ovaries to start secreting oxytocin, the ovaries secrete it, and it has an effect on that gland. That's a localized effect. That is a prostaglandin. When we initiate protein digestion, like our chicken fajitas, okay? When you look at those, that protein digestion takes place in your stomach. What is gastin? Do we possibly remember? It's a hormone that tells your parietal cells, okay, start pushing this out. Remember? There's chief cells and there's parietal cells. Keep your A's together. Yeah. So the gastin tells your parietal cells, okay, that's a localized effect. That's going to tell them to secrete gastin to start producing HCl. Okay, this is sorry, my battery power had depleted. Okay, and then the other one we talked about was cholestockinin. What does that do to the parietal cells? Gastin turns them on, then that shuts the acid factories down, okay? Which it has to, because If you are continually producing acid in your stomach, it's going to make its way into the small intestine, which cannot handle that. That's why that has to slow down. So a trick question. The liver also produces insulin and, no, sorry. The pancreas also produces insulin and glucagon. Is that a prostaglandin? No, it's not, because the insulin will either travel through the bloodstream to cells and say, we need to start burning sugar, okay? Or it would be glucagon travels to the liver and says, we've got all of this glycogen, we need to start breaking these molecules down into simple sugars like glucose. Okay. So that's why, okay, especially we want to be concerned about prostaglandins, oxytocin, serotonin, that acts locally as well. It's kind of like a feel-good hormone that, no, not serotonin, melatonin. And then don't worry about that, because now we're moving on to the vitamins. Okay. Did you two break my stapler? Oh, okay. Sometimes it gets jammed up. So, yes, I sure do. So one thing, I thought about this on, I don't know, driving home or on the bus route or whatever. In your case, you're going to SDSU for this precision ag major, correct? Yes. Okay. So what you would be concerned about is, are all of your fields mapped out with topography and soil samples, and or you continually have to take soil samples, correct? Yeah. So there's a good reason. Why do you do that?
Plant the best population at the right spot.
And that right spot might need maybe some gypsum. Maybe it needs some fertilizer with nitrogen in it, because that's what your soil sample would do. For the same reason, what a doctor might prescribe is a procedure, taking a blood sample, and then in that case, they're testing for your vitamin level. In this case, you are taking a soil sample to see, okay, we're deficient in this part of the field, so we can concentrate more fertilizer in this part. And is that what you do? Okay, so the same type of concept, but farming as opposed to the rest of you individuals going into this. Okay. Typically, I take a multivitamin, multi-mineral supplement, but my doc says, you should be able to get that in your diet. Well, maybe I don't, so I just choose to take those supplements. Okay. It's just I don't know, it's Nature's Way or something that just says multivitamin, multi-mineral. Okay, so with these vitamins here, very important, water soluble, okay? If they're water soluble, can B vitamins and the C vitamin, can that accumulate in your body? No, it can go up to a certain level that the body needs. Once you exceed that, since it's water soluble, what would that possibly mean to you? How's the body going to get rid of excess amounts? Exactly, but can you be a little more specific? It's the same, almost close to the same gland that secretes epinephrine and norepinephrine. What two hormones are those, and where are they found? The adrenal gland. The adrenal gland sits right on top of your what? On top of your kidney, okay? So what happens is, if you are taking water-soluble vitamins, whether it's thiamine, B1, riboflavin, which is B2, I think, and then B6 is thiamine. It's one of those three. It's on your list. I'm trying to do that from memory. Should you take them in excess, your body's just going to excrete it out, because it can filter it out through the kidneys. Okay? So thiamine, B1, and this is on that drop folder. You have that same type of content on there, I'd be led to believe. And it's color-coded, and we'll get into that later on next week, okay? Thiamine, riboflavin, niacin. Oh, it's B1, B2, B3. I said B6, didn't I? Okay? And then, let's see here. Okay. Don't be concerned. These are not on the list. So for B vitamins, what you need to know is this one, this one, this one, and then that one. Should say vitamin C, not C vitamin. Okay. And then it has the deficiencies on there. Should you be deficient in perhaps one of those, like B1, I believe, deals with glucose metabolism. Hormones creates neurotransmitters. It also functions in the, what do I want to say, the metabolism of sugars, like I said. In other words, it gives you energy, okay? And if you are deficient in that, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of energy. Okay, and then what it doesn't have is fat-soluble vitamins. What might a fat-soluble vitamin be? It's on your paper at the very bottom. They're associated with letters. There are 4 of them. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. Okay, those also have assorted functions in your drop folder. Okay. So that would conclude this content for this chapter. Again, when we started, I really didn't know what to expect or what it would look like. But you have to take your pick of what class you want to start that with, and this was probably the best one to do that with. So with that, the rest of the time, I guess we can switch this over for just a moment. Or do you want the rest of the time to be yours? So we can talk about this for just a moment. Okay? So here's your thiamine, your niacin, your riboflavin. I can't remember if I got them in the correct order. Yes, that's where it came from. Yep. But there's way too much for you to know on that paper, but that is where it comes from. Okay. So what happens here, okay, for B1, if you're deficient in that, I don't know if you can tell, that's supposed to be in green, okay? You would have muscular weakness if you're deficient in B1, okay? If you're deficient in B2, you're going to have a possibility of blurred vision, okay? And B3, if you're deficient in that, you might have some skin cell disorders or mental disorders, okay? So there again, that your doctor is going to keep an eye on that, but it's probably more so genetic, just like you're keeping an eye on your field nitrate levels. You're just doing the same thing here, but this we're dealing with humans instead of dirt. Okay. Then I'm sorry. There's B7. I don't know if that was on that list. And the reason that's on there is because it's required for metabolism of amino acid and DNA synthesis. But if it's deficient, then you could have elevated blood cholesterol. Again, that's supposed to be color-coded, and I don't know if you can tell that on there. So these are all water-soluble. There's one water-soluble vitamin over here. And just do your process of elimination, and it's which one? Definitely ascorbic acid. Yes, because that's vitamin C. Because I was starting to run out of room, and I put that up here, and then, oh, I got to do these yet, and then I ended up going all the way up there. Okay. One of the things one of the things that I want you to think does stand out. One of the aspects we said, it is really, really tough to live a normal life with a liver that's not functioning correctly. Because one of the things that we would see, okay, where did I see that? Stored in the liver. A lot of these stored in the liver. I want to say that stored in muscles and fat tissue, okay. Some of these, a lot of them are either made in the liver or stored there. So that's why your liver is so vital for a normal functioning life. Okay, that's all I have. We will pick up with this again on Monday.